Hello friends, welcome to EduTap. Market capitalization of BSE listed firms recently hit a record $3 trillion mark, which is an all-time high. Sensex has been consistently rising from the lows of 25,000 last year, and it has almost risen to the level of 50,000 and even more than 50,000 today. Our economy is not doing that good. We are consistently having high number of deaths. There are also high number of cases in India. But still, stock market is rising. Once they used to say that stock market is a barometer of our economy, but it does not seem to be the case now. So the big question is that why are the stock markets rising despite the high COVID numbers in India? Is the situation of stock market different from the ground reality? So let's try to discuss upon this. Let's try to analyze this. So before I get into the reasons of why the stock market is rising in India, let's try to see what is making the stock market stick. Stock markets में कौन खरीद रहा है? There are two types of investors, FIIs and DIIs. FIIs are foreign institutional investors and DIIs are domestic institutional investors. इन लेमन टर्म्स FIIs हैं जो बाहर के लोग, बाहर की कंपनीज इंडिया में पैसा इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. DIIs हैं जो इंडिया के लोग, इंडिया की कंपनीज इंडिया में पैसा इन्वेस्ट करती हैं. ठीक है. Normally FIIs also invest in India because they believe in the long term growth story of India. पर अभी पिछले 2-3 महीने का चार्ट देखेंगे तो FIIs are selling in big numbers, but what is keeping the stock markets at this high level is buying being done by DIIs. So it is we Indians or the Indian companies, Indian mutual funds who are investing heavily in the stock markets and they are keeping the stock markets at such high levels despite FIIs selling in large numbers. Now the next question is, what is making DIIs buy in such large numbers? हम Indians या Indian companies अपनी stock market में इतना ज़्यादा पैसा invest क्यों कर रहे हैं, though the shape of economy is not that good? Now there are 4 reasons to that. First reason is that Q4 2021 financial year means the quarter which was from Jan to March. That results were really good, right? So after COVID last year, economy started opening up somewhere in October or November. So in the first quarter of this year, or we can say Q4 of the last financial year, people spent a lot, right? So the results given by the companies in Q4 in terms of earnings were really good. So that gave a kind of positive outlook to the investors that in future we are going to get some good earnings from these companies. So this is reason number 1. Reason number 2 is that many economists say that COVID is just a short-term thing. Investors should invest based upon the long-term growth story, which should be at least 10 to 20 years. So those people who buy this logic that Indian growth story is a longer-term growth story, the growth will come in next 10 to 20 years, which is actually true, right? So those people are investing and they are keeping the stock markets high. The third reason is optimism around vaccination program. Now, what is this optimism around vaccination program? Since government has launched vaccination program for the people who are between 18 to 44, so this is giving an optimism that once people between 18 to 44 gets the vaccine, so most of the people will be eligible to work freely, they will be able to roam freely, so the economy will kind of open up, people will start spending money, start buying things, and corporates will be able to deliver better results, right? So the optimism around vaccination program is really driving the stock market. Fourth reason, which is really important, is low interest rate. Now there is a direct correlation between the low interest rate and the growth of the stock markets. How? जब interest rate low होता है, there is lot of liquidity in the system. क्यों? Because interest rate low है, people can get easy loans from the banks, तो उससे liquidity बढ़ जाती है, पैसा बढ़ जाता है खर्चने वाला. Now in terms of low interest rate, how our economy is supposed to benefit, right? So I'll discuss that from corporate perspective and consumer perspective. From corporate perspective, corporates have taken loans from the banks. Most of them are on floating rate. So when interest rate becomes lower, their debt cost becomes lower. So when debt cost becomes lower, तो उनका profit बढ़ जाएगा. Next is easy loans. If any company wants to take loans and expand, they have some easy money, right? They can take some easy loans at lower interest rate and they can expand. फ्रॉम कंज्यूमर पर्सपेक्टिव, कंज्यूमर के पर्सपेक्टिव से क्या है? कंज्यूमर के पर्सपेक्टिव से इजी लोन्स है, ठीक है, वन कैन गेट इजी लोन टू बाय अ कार एट अ वेरी लो इंटरेस्ट रेट, वन कैन गेट एन इजी लोन एट अ वेरी लो इंटरेस्ट रेट टू बाय अ टीवी. सो जब इजी लोन अवेलेबल है, इट विल लीड टू मोर एक्सपेंडिचर, राइट, विच विल increase the spend in the economy and that will result in good numbers by the corporates. Next is when interest rate low है, बैंक आपको 3% का interest rate दे रहा है, lot of people will not be inclined to put that money in the FD कि ठीक है यार पड़ी है saving में, एक ही interest rate आ रहा है. So they will be less inclined to save, which will mean they have more money at their disposal to spend. So that will lead to more expenditure, which will again result in better corporate numbers. Third is low interest rate means less FD again. When I have low interest rate, I would have less inclination to put that money in FD. It means I will have money ready at my side to be used for anything. So I might invest that money in the equity because I am not inclined to put that money in the FD. Right. So all these factors will lead to either higher numbers by the corporate or higher amount of investment in the equity market. So that overall will drive the growth of the stock market. So these were the 4 reasons that I wanted to discuss about that why the stock markets are rising despite high numbers of COVID cases. Now this is not the only reason, there can be many other reasons also. Stock market is mainly driven by sentiments also in short term. पिछले साल क्या हुआ जब एकदम pandemic आया, lockdowns happened, stock market plunged like anything because people panicked कि अभी lockdown होएगा, कोई activity नहीं होएगी, तो obviously nobody is going to spend money, nothing is going to be bought by the consumers, so that will result in lower corporate numbers, so people started selling everything, right? So stock markets plunged. अभी सेम सिचुएशन आ गई है, पार्शियल लॉकडाउन्स भी हो रहे हैं, इकोनॉमी में इतनी एक्टिविटी भी नहीं है, बट पीपल आर नाउ कंफर्टेबल दैट लास्ट ईयर आल्सो कंपनीज फेस सच सिचुएशन बट दे केम आउट, सो दिस टाइम आल्सो दे विल कम आउट ऑफ दिस सिचुएशन after say 2-3 months. So they are very comfortable what they have faced in the past. Now they are optimistic about handling the same situation in future, right? So that is giving them confidence. So these are the reasons. Now coming to the point, can the situation reverse, or is it all about that stock market will keep surging or it will be able to retain at this level? Situation can reverse. So many people also give reasons that situation can change very very quickly. So let's try to take those points into consideration which will act as counterpoint to the points which we just discussed. तो पहला पॉइंट हमने डिस्कस किया था कि Q4 2021 के रिजल्ट्स बहुत ज्यादा अच्छे थे, बट some people who does not believe in the stock markets being able to sustain at this level, they would say, or they are saying कि this was just a pent up demand due to lockdown almost for 6 to 9 months last year. People had a lot of pent up demand, they wanted to spend money, they wanted to buy things which they actually need in their homes. So due to that pent up demand, when the economy opened, companies were able to do big business that might not happen in the near future again. Near future means this shall be Q2 of 2021, or in terms of financial year it shall be Q1 2022, right? कि जो pent up demand है उसके कारण Jan to March में अच्छा business हो गया, पर आगे यही business रहेगा, यही momentum रहेगा, इसकी कोई guarantee नहीं है, because previous business was just due to pent up demand. This is one of the reasons being given by people who are not buying the logic that stock markets can sustain at this level. Then the next reason was कि हमें लॉन्ग टर्म ग्रोथ स्टोरी में बिलीव करना चाहिए, राइट? इन स्पाइट ऑफ कोविड एंड एवरीथिंग, लॉन्ग टर्म ग्रोथ स्टोरी इज स्टिल इंटैक्ट, बट द काउंटर पॉइंट टू दैट इज दैट yes, many people believe in long term growth story, but many people can panic when the situation gets worsened a little more. That happened last year, that can happen again. Maybe if a new mutant comes, maybe if there is a shortage of vaccination or something like that happens, then if situation gets worsened, people panic कर सकते हैं, and that might result in selling in the short term. So stock markets can decrease. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट जो हमने डिस्कस किया था, ऑप्टिमिज्म अराउंड वैक्सीनेशन प्रोग्राम. अगेन ऑप्टिमिज्म है दैट इज बेस्ड अपॉन सेंटिमेंट. सो एज आई डिस्कस्ड इन द प्रीवियस स्लाइड, सेंटिमेंट्स कैन चेंज, ऑप्टिमिज्म कैन फेड. ठीक है, थोड़ा सा कुछ सिचुएशन वर्सन होती है, फुल फ्लेज लॉकडाउन स्टार्ट्स टू हैपन, then anything can happen. People can now start selling anytime then. So optimism is good, but it can change very, very quickly. Fourth point जो हमने discuss किया था, low interest rate driving consumption or directly investment in the equity markets. That is right. Low interest rate leads to better liquidity. Right. So liquidity is high. There is no doubt about that. But your consumption and investment is just not about liquidity. Try to understand that. There are a lot of other factors. अगर किसी के घर में कोई डेथ हो रही है, किसी के घर में कोई सीरियस हो रहा है, it will take time for them to come out of that shock. वो अपना easy liquidity लेकर बाजार में शॉपिंग करने या एंजॉय करने नहीं जाएंगे. Right? So liquidity is okay. That can drive consumption or investment, but it is not the only factor. There are a lot of other things and sentiments. The mindset is one of the major factors that can come in between the liquidity and consumption and investment. Right? So these are the reasons which can be given as a counterpoint to why the stock markets cannot sustain at this level, or the relentless rise which they had will eventually has to fall. That depends. That time will tell. Now, an exercise for you I would suggest is you also think about this. Try to find out that whether really our economy can sustain this high level growth in the stock markets, or it is just a time bomb which is ticking and can blast anytime. Do let me know your thoughts on this by commenting in the comment section below this video, and let's see how many people believe that stock markets will be able to sustain and how many people believe that it is impossible to sustain at this level. Thanks for watching this video. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.